I'm glad we're putting more back on the parents because at the end of the day, it is our responsibility. And we cannot keep pointing at the fingers at these teachers because they're usually there because they're passionate about it. I mean, the thing is that teachers aren't like some glorified where they're getting paid like a ridiculous amount of money.
Right.
I mean,
well, we are. I mean, the ridiculous amounts were
and they're putting their own money into their curriculum, their own time, like extra time outside of their school hours. So, and I think that's, why this is important to bring up today is because it is our job that if we want to keep having good teachers, we have to be good involved parents and think about it as a team. What asking your teacher, what could I do to help them go from the D's that they're getting? What do I need to do at home? What do they need to work on? Like reach out.
Right. Well, and I think even with parents, and we do a lot on parents, we do a lot on expectations, is that you have to meet your child where they are. And I bring in all the time, especially when I'm working, like if I'm doing a family session, and I had one this week, I go, okay, listen, because I go as an educator, because first and foremost, everybody knows education. Everybody's gone to school. That's in everybody's wheelhouse. I go, if I have 25 students in a class and, 20 of them are failing and 5 are not, whose problem is that? That is mine as the educator. I said, so I have to make sure that I am meeting each and every student where they are. I have a foundation, but then I also have adaptability and flexibility. But with your own child, it's like, these are the expectations, what it is. And the child's looking at you and they say, don't know. And you just double down and say, figure it out. Okay, well, where do they start? And so even, take time, set up even the routines at home. Okay, we know we got 4 kids. We're sitting around, we're cooking dinner. Everybody bring out, whatever. Get your books in, work together, work collaboratively. Like you have to have strong systems even at the house. Because these are kids.
That's where it starts.
They're kids.
At home.
That should be the primary place that it's starting too.
Absolutely.
And coming back from a culture like I visited in Europe, seeing the culture there, that it's like not this hustle culture, like they really embrace that family time. The parents are, very involved with their kids. And that's more of the priority. You don't see kids in restaurants with iPads and stuff like that. Like you really didn't. When I was there for 3 weeks, like the ones that were on their phone weren't, you could tell, American kids. And over there, it's like you don't see 10, 11-year-olds walking around with cell phones. I mean, it just wasn't there. They were playing in the streets or listening to their parents and things. So, I mean, we can bring that here. We should have that here. And I think that because our culture is all about like hustle, 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 working 24/7, and then our kids and our families are pushed to the side, unfortunately, and a lot of people have to. People work 2 or 3 jobs because financially they can't. So I understand, and I can also, empathize with parents who are, having 2 or 3 jobs just to survive. And they're like, I don't have time to sit there and study with you. I don't have time to email your teacher and have another conference with them. And that hurts as well because it's hurting the child at the end of the day. So it's kind of like in those situations too, is like, how can we support families that are even going through that?
I'm going to go on both sides because single parent, education is huge, but also I was working in the system, so I knew the system. And that will tell you, that was the biggest aha moment I had when I left public education and come here, 3 years ago, is because it was so in my wheelhouse and all of my friends basically were in education that I didn't realize that parents have no idea. They had no idea what they were. I was like, well, you just go here or you do that. And they're like, who? And so I'm like, okay, so one, it's just, however you learn, however you, or if you have 2 jobs. But here's the thing, we make time for what's important to us.
That's true.
And your child's only going to be 6 one time, 14 one time.
That's a good point.
15 one time. We can always work. And so that's where but you get the kids to do the buy-in, because even as a teacher, it's like, yes, I do this, I do that, I have here, but I learned from them too. I'm always learning. Hey, did that work? That didn't work, did it? But I think sometimes parents they just don't know. And then the child doesn't know. And then the frustration, because there's one girl I love, she talks about, from not knowing to knowing, there's this space, and that's frustrations. And we know out of frustration comes everything. And the longer that you can stay in that, because as long as you're frustrated, you're learning. But again, give yourself grace, pause, you know, you don't have to go on this vacation or that. I mean, just, well, if they're in 5 activities, maybe 3 is better. You know what I mean? And so it's still, you guys got to figure it out.
At the end of the day, we do. We
Yeah.
have to
Well, that's
figure it
true.
out.
It definitely need to bridge the gap when it comes to parent involvement.
Mhm.
You know, and I get it, you know, like you all stated, like parents do work 2 or 3 jobs just to keep food on the table. But there has to be, you know, something that, you know, they can put down or rearrange in order to be more involved. You know, some parents, especially I know, you know, from being a school social worker, some of the parents had never even met the teachers the whole year. They never
Mhm.
even knew what the teacher looked like
Mhm.
unless they saw her picture on a you know in the on the website or what have you. And so that's a problem. That's a
Mhm.
problem. You should at least, you know, if you can't meet them the first week or whatever, you should make it your due diligence to meet with your child's teacher. Find out what their expectations are for your child's level of learning. You know, so we definitely have to bridge the gap on parent involvement.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that idea though. Like, of even just meeting your teacher
Yeah.
initially, like setting up, like, nowadays virtual. If you can't leave your office.
That's where I was
So
going.
if you're working
Yep.
10 hours a day, 12 hours a day,
Mhm.
I get that. But you're eating at some point,
Yep.
right? I
Yep.
mean, even if you're having
Using
20,
the
30,
restroom.
exactly. Say I'll schedule you. And I think a teacher would appreciate that. Like if you explain, hey, I do work 2 jobs. I work 12 hours a day. I can meet you between 12 and 12:30 for my lunch break. Okay, let's do it. Let's have a virtual.
Absolutely.
I mean, so that's the thing is like maybe setting up that would be a really good thing for teachers to be able to like make sure they're in contact with whoever at least one parent is in the home.
Yeah.
To be able to do that, that would be really good.
And check your Focus account. I mean, in Brevard County,
Yeah.
you know, that's the web space that we use, Focus. Check your children's Focus account. Check those grades. Check the communication between, you know, the teachers and what they need from you. And don't just like, oh, I didn't see it, or make it of the utmost importance because your child is important.
Yeah.
And, you know, my thing is I would always say, don't just show up, you know, when your child is not doing good. Show up when they're doing well. Show up to the PTA meetings, show up to open house, show up to everything you can so that your teachers, administration, all involved will know that you are an involved parent.
I love that. And that is, I think, really important because, there are so many events and things that they have throughout the year. I remember elementary, it was fun. They dressed up and they did little things. But
Mm-hmm.
like you said, even showing up, like, I think your kids too will see like, okay, mom and dad, or even just mom or just dad, they see it as important because they're showing up for me. They're showing
Absolutely.
up, just showing up.
Mhm.
Let's say you're busy 24/7. You work, if you're a pilot and you're gone for so long. Well, if you show up to that one little, history workshop thing for them, they're going to be like, oh, it's important, right? Because the more
Absolutely.
we show as parents what's important, our kids are going to say, then my parents value it. I need to value it.
And they feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing. It's like they're a reflection of what we're telling them, what we're showing up as. So if we're showing up as, yes, you need to work on that school, you need to work on this, you need to work on that, and you're showing up and you're involved, they're going to see as school. That's one thing that I can say, like, so since I'm first generation American, my parents, neither one of them have, I think my mom graduated high school barely, but my dad only has an 8th grade education because over there back then in Sicily, like education wasn't that important back then. Like men and boys, especially, they started working
And to work.
at 13, 14. They were like full-time jobs. So he only finished the 8th grade. And so, but one thing that they instilled in me, even though they weren't educated, is you're going to school. You're going to school. You got to make sure you're listening to your teachers. You have to make sure, like, it was like, I remember drilled in me into where I remember by the time I was 3rd and 4th grade, like latchkey kids, I would come home, walk home from school in 3rd grade. And I knew the expectation was I'm opening my spelling book, I'm doing all my homework, and that's when I can have a snack and whatever. And then I can do whatever I want. I can go outside and play. But like, my mom didn't have to check on me after. I just remember that was so drilled into a routine in my head.
Yeah.
It was a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me so much growing up. And especially with 2 parents who literally, both my parents had like 2 or 3 jobs most of the time. My mom had a paper route, at 4 a.m. And I was home alone, I remember, with my sister. So, and I tried to still, and I know that because it was important to me growing up, I made that sure that was important.
Absolutely.
For my kids too. So, and now they're very focused on school. And so I don't know. I just think that it is so much our job, and I'm thankful for the teachers that they've had too in their life. But we have to support them. It starts at
Definitely.
home.
It does. It does.
Well, and, again, I love hearing this because, again, I love teachers and everything else. But as a teacher, I love my parents who just said, "Hey, coach, you got a minute." If I know, listen, okay, they're struggling. Or like even in here, okay, well, what do we do? Because, we're divorced. I said, You get both names on there. Teachers want to be there. And like you
Yes.
said, we are passionate about your babies. And again, we get it. Y'all are not the first person. Y'all are not the first family. Y'all are not the first. We have seen so much. I mean, it's crazy. But if I don't know, I can't help you. And so if there's something and then it's going on and I'm emailing, I'm doing this, and there's nothing and your child, is either being detained, retained, expelled, whatever. And then that's the first time I've seen you, like you said,
There you
or
go.
anything else. It's so out of my hands
Yeah.
right now. And guess what?
Yeah.
I got a bad taste in my mouth too. Because I was like, you are not giving me anything to work with.
Mhm.
And if you'd have come in the very beginning, and so even with that, and I love you parents and everything else, but y'all got to kind of like put your pride down a little bit too. We know everybody is going through it right now. And, having that humility and that humble of just listen, this is where I am. And, this is what happened. And I'm having to do this. That right there, I'm like, okay, TJ, I already know what you're going through. I am allowed to go, hey, have this, or I gave you a little extra, or I'm going to give you the syllabus of this because I know the computer system is not at home. I'm going to put it on paper. But I can't do it if I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I
You see what
agree.
I'm saying?
Right.
So
And
it's
so
like,
it's our job
the more
to
information I
communicate.
have,
Right.
Yeah.
the better I can help
Yep.
your child.
And that makes a good point too, because I even remember with my kids when I was going through my divorce, and obviously that's hard on kids in
Mhm.
elementary school. So, and I remember communicating that with the teachers. So and I'm like, hey, if you notice any behavior change or whatever, please let me know. But this is kind of what's going on at home. They were always appreciative.
Absolutely.
Always like, okay, we're keeping an eye on it. If they're having trouble and I'm at the school meeting or I'm emailing, they'll be like, yeah, they were kind of sad today or whatever. And it was like, to this day, their teachers and I are like friends. Even they're like retired and stuff. And
Mhm.
it's because
Uh-huh.
I was one of those parents that was involved, and I try to communicate even when putting my pride down. It's like, great, I have to tell people that I'm in the middle of a divorce and my kids. And I was like, you know what? It's not about me.